It's 2 o'clock. Today we had a really fun session, and it's fun for me because I get to show you things that have to do with an application that's already on your Mac, and you probably don't know the half of it. Okay, it comes with every Mac, and this is the preview program. So the preview program, which I have here on my screen, this is a really big icon for it, but that's the way I like it. Preview program can do a whole lot more than just open graphic documents. That's what most of us use it for. Most of us do something like this. We see something we need to open, like a JPEG. We double click the JPEG, and it opens. And then we're done. We close it, and that's it. That's the end of preview. But the number of things that it can do are just astounding. And it's a real competitor to Acrobat. And even though they're competitors, I would say this is hands down the winner. All right, so today, I hope you got your handout. We have 4 main things to do. We're going to talk about marking up images. We're going to talk about combining documents. So many times you have a scan, and maybe you have another scan, and you're supposed to email these to somebody, and you want to combine them as one big, long PDF document. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to show you how to easily share the things that you make, how to send them to people, how to password protect them, how to print. Oh my gosh, best printing box in the world. If everything was as easy to print as Preview is, we'd all be better off. And then finally, the usual odds and ends grab bag. So let's start. Let me start by marking up a PDF. So here's a PDF, it's a ping, which I copied from a Google Maps page. Okay, so what do we see here? Well, standard stuff. These are all the standard buttons. You can figure out what zoom does, right? Zoom gets bigger, zoom gets smaller. You can rotate it if you want. Okay. You want to rotate it the other way. This is our first secret tip of the day. You see the rotation is going that way. It's going counterclockwise. If you hold the Option key down, the arrow flips here, and it goes the other way. I'm going to, speaking of arrows, I'm going to make our arrow a little bit bigger so we can see it. In case you've forgotten how to do this, we go here to Display, Cursor. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, but not full blast bigger. Okay, so this should make it easier to see. Okay, so let's say that this map or this picture is showing your ranch in Texas, and you want to show the property lines to somebody. You just want to sketch it out. You don't want to necessarily get it, surveyed and be perfect, but you want to roughly show your property. Okay, so let's do it. Where are the marking up tools? Well, funny you should phrase it that way, that I say where are the marking up tools, because we have something called markup. So the markup icon in recent versions of Preview looks like this, like a pencil in a circle. Older versions looked like a toolbox. But either way, they do the same thing. So when you do this, you get access to this extra row of tools. So we're going to use most of the tools we use are going to be right here. So I click here, and I've got a drop-down palette, and I'll start with an arrow. Here's an arrow, and when you do that, you get an arrow, and you can move it around by grabbing the tip. You can grab the other end, swing it around. You can grab the middle of it, where there's a little knob there, and you can bend it around. You can also change the color here. Okay, I can make it blue, match my shirt. I can make it white to match all my other shirts. All right, so this is nice. You can also change the thickness here. A thicker line or a finer line. Okay, all doable. And now in this case, you can see the green knob there a little bit more obviously, because it was green on green before, but now it's green on white. All right, so there's many things you can do with this line, but I don't really just want a line. So I'm gonna just press delete and say goodbye to that. Let's make some other simple shapes. Here's a box. Now, when you make a box, you still have an outline. You still have a choice of line thicknesses, but you also have a fill. So this one is the fill. The red slash there, the diagonal red, means that there'll be no fill. So we're gonna put some fill in here. And so that's how you make a box, and I can move the box around. All right, and I can resize the box in the usual ways. What you've been used to, you grab a knob on an edge and you move it in one dimension, and you grab a corner, you can move it in 2 dimensions. Okay, and I'm gonna delete that too. So let's press delete, and it's gone. What I wanna do is draw some lines. So here's a line. Now if I do this, this is a straight line. And it's a little bit difficult to maybe to use this one. Probably make a different color. It's a little bit hard to do everything out of straight line segments, but you could. I could draw another line. I need to take that arrowhead off. That's easy. That's here. You see, I asked for an arrowhead. I'm going to make it straight. I could do this. I could make another line and move this to place. Okay, so I'll just do one more and pretend I've finished. This is not my property. I don't know what the boundaries are, so I'm just drawing. Okay, so let's delete those and do something that's maybe a little bit more flexible, which is this pen tool here. So I'm about to, this is a sketch tool, they call it. So the sketch tool, this is a neat tool because it helps you do things better. So if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna pull out like this. Do you see it made it straight? Ooh. Now, maybe that's right, but if it's not, I have this little palette here on the left to show that I want them to do exactly what I did. So let's make another one. So I'm gonna draw this line. I'll kind of go like this. They think maybe it should be smooth. They think maybe I need the help. I'm gonna tell them, no, this is the real property line is like this, okay? And as I just hover over these, I'm not clicking, I'm just pointing. It gives me the shape that I've asked for. If I make, suppose I made a circle or close to a circle, you see they made it a circle. That's the kind of help you get with the sketch tool. Right? If I want to make that a hollow circle, I would go back here to my fill and say no fill. And if I need to change the thickness, I could do that. All right, so that's marking up a document. You can do more than just lines and boxes. You can put text on. So here's a text tool. When you hit the text button, you get text right in the middle of the screen. And you know, I'll just say my ranch as if it's mine, but it's not. Now you have all kinds of font choices. This is a terrible font choice right here. It doesn't look not clear at all. But here in the under the A, I can pick a font. I'm going to pick something big. Impact's always good for this kind of stuff. And I'll pick something different color there. This you can see. So I can move this around and put it where I want. I can come back and edit it. Do like this, okay? So it's just normal text editing here, and you can move this around all you want. You can even stretch it or shrink it so that if it's skinnier, then it has to wrap the text. Okay, and you have all the controls are here: centering, point size, font, color, bold, italic, whatever you want. Okay, so those are the basic markups. Let's say you notice there's a little house down here. This would be a great choice for an arrow. Okay, and I'll just, it turns out that you can actually type, if I move a little bit away from this line, there'll be a, you see the cursor has changed as I move it. That means I can just type right here without having to add a text box. And what's nice about that is if I move the line now, that the label moves with it. So this label showed up by me moving the cursor around very carefully after I made the arrow, and I noticed that it changed to this kind of cursor, the I-beam cursor, and I clicked and I typed. Okay, so really neat stuff. You can do other interesting things as well, and I think I'll show you one more. This is kind of a highlighting tool. So if I choose this one at the bottom left, what it does is it darkens everything else, and it lets me highlight the part, if I can. There we go. Lets me highlight part of the image like this, so it sort of stands out a little bit better just by being a little bit lighter compared to the other parts. So I'll just take that off now. Okay, so that's marking things up, but that's not all you can mark up. Let's talk about marking up a PDF. I'll close this without saving this. Might use this again someday. So let's say you are, for some reason, you're reading the Bill of Rights and you think it might be interesting to highlight parts that you think maybe are areas for further study, shall we say. Well, I'm in the preview program, as you can see. I have a highlight tool here. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to highlight some text like this, and then I'm going to go here to highlight, and I'm going to say, let's do that with yellow. And now it's yellow. And if I wanted to highlight some more, the idea is that first you select some text, and then you pick the color you want to highlight that text. Okay, you can do other things with it as well. You could strike out text like so, and see now it's crossed out. And this is saved with the document. If I save this document and I send it to somebody, then it's they'll see my marks. Of course, I can do other things. So that's separate from the markup. I could certainly come in here and hit markup, and I can type a note, but I'm going to type just some text. You know, please clarify. I'll say here. This one's given us a lot of trouble over the years. I'll make this red like this. So I could send this off to somebody, and they would see it like this. Okay, so that's the first part here is learning how to mark things up. Now our second part, you may have noticed here, I'm showing thumbnails in my in the sidebar here. So this second part is all about the thumbnails. If you just remember that thumbnails even exist, you're all set. Normally people see it like this. They see a document like this and they scroll through it. They probably don't see the markup toolbar. They just see this. And then let's say this person has this document, and then they have another one. Let's say they have a US Constitution. And they say, gee, this Constitution would be nice if at the end of it we had the Bill of Rights. So how do we combine these things? Well, I'm going to show you how. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show the thumbnails for both of these documents. I'm going to make this screen just a little bit shorter like this. I'm moving it because the tools for Zoom are covering up the part I need to work with. Okay, so here we have two documents, and we have a Constitution on the right, and we have our Bill of Rights on the left. Constitution took 11 pages. I can click on a page and you can see them moving up as I go. This is a nice sort of controlled way of scrolling through the document as a page at a time. But after page 11, I want to add pages 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to click over here on page 1 in our Bill of Rights, and I'm going to shift click to pick up the other 2 pages. So now I have 3 pages. So the trick with the thumbnails is that if we drag the thumbnail from one document to another, it adds it to the destination document. So here we go, and hoping I'm going to get all 3 pages. I think I will. Yeah. So here I go. I'm going to park this here. You see the big circle with a plus. If I drop it here, it's going to go after page 11. Okay. So what you want to do is get really close to the 11, and now there's 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So if I were to save this document, it is now a 14-page document, as you can see in the title bar here. So it's really easy and nice to do. Let's say you change your mind and you want to have, for some reason, you want to have the Bill of Rights at the top. Well, the pages are still highlighted, but if they weren't, I could click on 1, hold down the shift, click on 2 and 3. And I can take these pages and just drag them, and if I scroll up, I can now put these pages above page 1, like so. And so now, if we go to the top, yes, there they are. So let's try this again. Okay, here's 1, here's 2, here's 3, and hopefully if I go down one more page, this better be the Constitution, and indeed it is. So this is a very easy way for you to combine documents. All you got to do is show the thumbnails. If you show the thumbnails, hopefully that will remind you that aha, I do it with the thumbnails. That's exactly right. Let's say you change your mind after all, and this 14-page document, you think, nope, I don't want to have the Bill of Rights in it. I want to keep this separate. I can just click on a page on the thumbnail, press delete, and it's gone. Click on this one, press delete, and it's gone. Click on that one, press delete, and I'm pressing delete on the keyboard. You can't see it, but that's what I'm doing. And now we're back to where we started. So all that work for nothing. But hopefully you've learned how we do this, and it's you'll be surprised how many times this comes into play, especially if you're scanning documents and you don't want to send an attachment with 11 individual pages. You want to send one document with 11 pages in it. All right, so that was marking up the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. So let's say that having marked this up now, what I want to do is I want to email this to somebody. Well, all right, good idea. The easiest way to email it is not the way that most people do it. Most people do, they go start their email program, they start writing the email, they click a paperclip, they climb around and try to find this document. Well, we're not gonna do that, okay? We're gonna do it using the share button here. So I'm gonna click up here on the share button, and the first two choices are great ones, mail and messages. So I'm gonna do mail. I'm gonna do mail. Here comes my mail program, all by itself without any effort from me. Here it is, and it's attached, as you can see. All I have to do is address it and send it. So I'll send it to myself. There's some other people who could probably use this, but I'm going to send it to myself. Okay, that guy. Okay, we'll send this right now. Okay, let's be done with the mail for now, and let's come back to our Bill of Rights. I could also text it to somebody. So if you do messages here, what you see is up comes messages, or almost comes messages, and I can text this by addressing it. So I'll address it to myself, which is probably the weirdest thing you can do, but I'm going to do it. And I can just say, great stuff, study this. Okay, and when I do this, it goes out through the messages system. So messages sometimes is the better way to go, because messages doesn't have the limits on file sizes that that mail programs do. So this little secret tip there. All right, so that takes care of our second part. Let's move on to our third part. Actually, we're in the third part. We're doing sharing and printing. Okay, so one other thing I want to do is I want to make this document, I want to save this document in a certain special way. I want to put a password on it. So if you do save as, no, you know what, if I do export as PDF, we'll do it like this. Do export as PDF, it's already a PDF, but when I say export, I get this box. Okay, you don't see anything about passwords in here. But you see here, this details button, show details. If you show the details, up pops this little extra section here. All we care about is down here. So we're going to encrypt this, and we're going to put a password in it. So I'm going to put a password in here. I'm going to say the password is COVID, okay? So you have to type it twice. If you get it wrong, they tell you they don't match. So I'm going to stop there. There's COVID. So when I save this, I'm going to save this with a different name here. I'm going to call this Bill of Rights password protected. Now, if I were to email this to somebody, they couldn't open it unless they had the password. So I'm going to save this here. So now in my Finder, let's close this one up. So we'll revert those changes back to normal. So here, if I remembered where I put it, could have been on the desktop. Anyone remember where I put it? That's too bad. I have to go look for it. Well, we're good at finding stuff. So let's look at the recent items. Here's recent. Here's my password protected item. I should have paid more attention. So we have this one as a reminder. This is the one that we're starting with. I open it right up. This is the one that says password protected. When I do this, it says not so fast. Okay, I cannot get in. So if I put in the wrong password, wrong, put in the right password, I can see it. So you're going to see this quite a bit. It may be that you're on the other end of it. You're on the receiving end where people have sent you things with passwords in them. Well, this is how they do it. The tax guys often will send you your tax return as a PDF with a password in it. And now you can send him stuff right back with a password in it if you wanted to. Okay, so that takes care of that important thing, to password protect something. You might also have a PDF that was just sitting on your computer. Maybe it's a PDF that's got a list of Christmas presents you're going to buy for people, or a list of people that you're going to invite to a surprise birthday party. So you want to have that locked in case someone gets to your computer. All right, so that takes care of that part. Let's look at the printing. Here's a picture that I took off the internet. Nice picture. And in this picture, the reason I'm using this picture is I want to print, and I don't really know how big it is. The nice thing about previews, you don't have to worry about how big this is. If you want it to fit on a piece of paper, you want to print it, it's going to fit. Okay, so what we do is we go here to File, and we go here to Print. And you see, it's rotated it to fit this page. Now, it's rotated it because we have this auto rotate button on. Fine with me if that's what they need to do. If they don't want to, if I want to print it sideways, I can uncheck this box. It's going to do like this. However, you can see here in very, very gray print, there it says 59%. So this document, no matter how big it really was, it's now been squished to 59% to fit on the page. So if I do the auto rotate, now it's in this box, it says 77%. You may not be able to see that, but it's 77%, which is quite nice. So it's gotten bigger. So we get more of the, not more of the picture, but just a bigger picture. So this always works. Now, if you didn't have scale to fit on, if you went to scale, it's still going to remember what you did. But if what they had to do is the scaling. But if I went 100%, you can see my picture's clipped. It doesn't fit. If I do scale to fit, now I see the whole picture. So this is so much easier than anything else that has to do with printing. So pay attention to this. This is really going to help you. Now let's say, just for fun, that you're making some sort of name tag or something and you need to print up, I don't know, 16 of these on a page, little ones. Well, right here you have copies per page. I'm glad I guessed 16, not 32. When I do that, there they are. So it's scaled them for you. It's laid them out on the page. There's really nothing for you to do except for hit print. So really quite nice. Now, if you aren't showing the details, it's another story. You see here, if this is what your print box looks like, come down here and show the details, okay? Now you get the good stuff. All right, so that's one of my favorite things, all right? Let's get Julie Andrews here. All right, so I'm not gonna print it, but I just wanted you to see. Now, let's look at some sort of odds and ends sorts of things here. So I'm going to close up this particular document. I'm going to open up another one. Here's a lease agreement I took off of the internet. And so this document, you can it's a PDF, and I can fill it in. So supposing I was to rent out one of my rooms here, like say the kitchen, all right? I can put in the address and so on. So it's just a very simple fill in the blank kind of thing, very easy. And you could go through the whole document and you could save this, and when you're done, that's great. You'll notice eventually, if I scroll down here, there's going to be a place to sign. Okay. This happens all the time. It happened yesterday. I had somebody ask me, how do I sign a PDF? Well, what you do is you use the tools that are in the markup here. They include a signature here. Okay, this one that looks like a big J. Well, if you click here, when you've never done this before, you get a box like this that's asking you to make a signature. Now, I have here a trackpad, and I'm gonna, I could try to write my name in this box. I'm not very good at it with a finger, so I'm just gonna show you that I'm gonna try. Okay, so I'm gonna say, there. Not very good. I'll press a key on the keyboard to show them I'm done. I could save that, but that doesn't look like my signature, so I'm not gonna use that. I can clear it though, and we can try again. Let me try this one. Let's see if this looks more like me. There, that looks more like me, all right? But that's not gonna work either, so we'll clear that. We're gonna use the camera. So the way the camera works is, I'm hoping that you can see, yeah, you can see my screen here. I have written my name on a piece of white paper with a big fat pen with a Sharpie, okay? So if you were to click where it says camera, they'll give you these same instructions. They say down there at the bottom, sign your name on white paper, done. Hold it up to be visible to the camera. Now you see there's a line right through here, and that's what you're trying to get your signature to sit on. So here I go with my signature, and let's see if I can get this there. I'll take that. So now I click done, and now that I've done it, if I want to put my signature right here, I come back to our J, I click here, it turns blue, and it's in here. I can put this right here like this. Now if it's too big, I can shrink it. If it's too small, I can stretch it. There, looks pretty good. So what's nice about this is the signature is saved not in this, just in this document, but it's available in all PDFs. So if I go back to another PDF, like let's say I want to sign the Bill of Rights, I really just sign the Declaration of Independence. But if I want to put my signature down here, I can go to markup again, click on this little drop down and just plop it in. If I decide I want to have a different signature, like one that has my middle name in it or something like that, I can do that. I could come here and I could create another signature, and I could go through the same routine. Okay, so very nice, great thing to know how to do, and now you know. Okay, so it takes practice. I have to admit that, you know, if you use your favorite pen, it's probably not going to work. If you use a nice big Sharpie, it's going to work great. All right, let's look at fixing a picture. So Preview has some tools that help you to repair or rescue a bad picture. So I have a bad picture here. Okay, if I saved this, this would be in the document. I'll save it now, and you'll see if I open this up again, it's still there. Okay, really nice. Here's a picture from a long time ago. This is a picture from 1980. And you know, nowadays with the iPhone, you can hardly take a bad picture. It's really hard to do. But 1980, we got pictures like this. So we'll make this a little bigger so you can see. So here's a nice picture, but it wasn't taken with an iPhone. I don't know how it was taken. It might have been scanned after it was taken, but anyway, here it is on my computer, almost surely scanned. So how do we fix this? Well, in preview, we have this option to adjust color. When you adjust color, you get a palette of tools. Now, this is a particularly good candidate for being fixed. So I'll show you the easiest thing. So this part up here is the part that everybody glazes over. They don't look at it at all. But it turns out that this is where the action is. This part here, the levels, is where we're really going to fix this picture. One day when we have time, maybe we have lunch, cup of coffee, I'll explain what's really going on here. But first I'm going to tell you how to do it. That might be enough for you. You grab this knob here and you pull it to the right until it starts to crash into what you see as this sort of histogram, this somewhat bell-shaped curve. Then you grab this one and you pull it in until you see it start to get close to the tail here. So it starts here, ends there. Then you grab this one in the middle, and if you move it to the left, it gets lighter. If you move it to the right, it gets darker. And so now, look at this picture. This is a really nice, much, much better picture. So if I reset it, you remember it looked like this. Okay, but with a couple of pulls here, I've made it a pretty tolerable picture. So it's, not a miracle, but really, really pretty good. Okay, so the more these things move to the right, the more it gets darker. So somewhere in there, I mean, you can't make something out of nothing, but I came pretty close today. Another thing you generally do with a picture that's been scanned, you almost always want to sharpen it just a little bit. And you see things like this fringe and these feathers here. You see they sharpen up. And you don't want to go too far because, again, it exposes things you don't want to see. But a little bit, it's almost always called for. Shadows is another interesting one. If you pull the shadows to the right, what it does is it lightens up anything that's in a shadow. So you can see that it turns out there's a Christmas tree back here that you barely could see until I lighten it up a little bit here. And it's, not a miracle, but it's still, at least it knows what to lighten up. It doesn't lighten up everything, it just lightens up shadows. And finally, highlights. What highlights does is it darkens things that are too bright to keep them from blowing out. So here we've got a fairly decent picture considering what we started with. So that's what you do. Well, here's what you don't do. Don't try to save it with exposure and contrast. It's almost impossible, really. Okay, so that takes care of that. These tools, very comparable to what you see in the Photos app. But sometimes you're not in the Photos app, you're here, and this is how you do it. So I'm going to leave it like that because it's so much better. Okay, one other thing we can do when we're working with photos is we can crop. Now, we just didn't care how big this picture was, and we printed it and made it fit. Here I want to show you how big it actually is. If I go to adjust size, it shows me that this is 1,000 pixels wide and 580 pixels deep. Well, if pixels don't mean anything to you, you can change that here to inches, and you can see, okay, this was a little bit bigger than a page. No wonder it didn't fit. It's 13.89 inches wide. So of course they had to scale it to fit on 8.5 by 11. Well, you could scale it yourself. If you want a thing that's going to be exactly 4 inches wide, just type the 4 in there, and this number is computed because these proportions are locked. That's what this lock does. If you click the lock they're no longer locked, so you want them locked. Otherwise, you're going to get distorted pictures. But if I do this, now it doesn't seem to have changed any. But if I view it, maybe I didn't actually finish. It didn't change because I didn't do anything. If I make this a 4 again and I say OK, now it's changed. And if you view it, you see it says here actual size. Well, it's not, it doesn't really look like 4 inches, but the pixels on my screen are a little bit small, but that would be 4 inches. So if we went to print, let's do our Command P print. If I scale it 100%, that's what it's going to be. That's 4 inches wide. So sometimes that's what you want. And I'm going to undo that size change, and I'm going to go back to viewing this, make it fit. So view to fit, zoom to fit is nice. Okay, so sometimes what you want to do is you want to crop. So let's crop this. So the way you crop it is, again, you've got your tools showing here. And so I have a rectangular selection. And I'm going to draw a box like this. Maybe that's all I want. If that is all I want, I can click here where it says crop. And that's my picture now. So this is not a full blast Photoshop competitor, but it's really good for things like this. So this could be saved, and this could be it could be emailed or whatever we want to do. I want to talk to you just a little bit about file formats and saving things. So we've seen PDFs, and we know something about PDFs. PDFs can be text, they can be pictures, can be combinations. And we know about JPEGs, those are just pictures, but let's talk about some other ones here. So we have something called a ping. So when you take a screenshot on a Mac, it's a ping. Ping is a more advanced format than JPEG. One of the things that's more advanced about it is that it can have transparency. So that means that your picture doesn't have to be square or doesn't have to be rectangular. So if this already is a ping, let me just back out of here. Supposing you want to lay this picture down on something that has a dark background, you don't want this sky here. Turns out you can actually remove the background. You have this tool here. I'm waiting for the Instant Alpha tool. What you do is you click where you want the tool to remove stuff. So I clicked in the sky, and you see it's kind of run through, and I'm going to come close to getting this right on the first try. But you see what it's selected. So now if I press the delete key, that stuff's gone. Now there's some other parts I missed, so I'm going to click here and do that too. Clear that out. Here's another little piece I missed. So all I'm doing is clicking and dragging, and when I do, it selects pixels that are like the one I clicked on, and it clears them out. It's when I press delete. So there, let's just delete that, and see if I can a little bit more delete that too. Okay, so if I were to save this picture now, if I were to just save it, I'm going to save it with a different name. So I'm going to hold the Option key and make this show up as Save As. You may have wondered where Save As went on the Mac. They changed it to Duplicate, but if you hold the Option key down, you do Save As. So I'm going to call this Sunflowers Cropped and Transparent. And I'm going to show you, I'll show you the transparency in a minute. Okay, so that takes care of that one. I have to figure out where I'm going to put this transparent picture, but I'm going to do it. Okay, so I'm going to quit that, and I'm going to open up. I'm going to open up Pages, and I'm going to make a quick document where I can put these pictures in, and you can see that one's transparent and one is not. So I'll go to Pages like so. Pages. Okay, we'll make a new document here, and we'll put these pictures in. Let's have a nice blank document. And you know, let's make a nice blank black document. Okay. If I put a picture in here, let's go get a picture. I'll take this sunflowers picture, that we were working on. And actually, let's put the transparent one like this. You see, didn't do a perfect job, but if I'd had spent more time, it would have. You see the black is shining through. That's the whole point. If we were to put some other picture on like this one, it's just square all the way. You don't see through anything. So that's what the transparency about, and that's what pings can do. Pings can be transparent, but that's the only thing we're going to do. When you go to export, you can also, if it started out as a ping, you can make it a JPEG. When you make things JPEGs, you have to remember that JPEGs lose quality every time you save them. So if you pick the best quality, you can see the size here. It's small, but it says 423K. If I pull the quality back, now it's down to 62K, but it's not going to look as good. So it's always a balancing act with JPEGs. Okay, so trivia, today's trivia, what does JPEG stand for? Anyone? Good. Joint Photographic Experts Group. It's their format. The photographers invented this format, and it's great for photos. It's bad for graphics. Okay, great for photos. One of the other shortcomings of a JPEG is it can only be one page long. There's no notion of page 2. Right? So that's that. If you want to save something as a PDF, PDF stands for something too. It's portable document format, but no one ever says that. But anyway, that's what it is. PDFs are the only formats that you have here that can have multiple pages. So as soon as you start to assemble two images into one document by dragging their thumbnails around, you're going to have to save it as a PDF. It's your only hope. Right? And the last one I want to show you is TIFF. TIFF is a really high-end format, and the files are really quite big. You see this file's over a megabyte. On a normal picture, it might be, it could be 5 or 10 megabytes. So they're really big. They got a lot of information in them, and you use them when you're doing photo editing, but not when you're emailing stuff around. So anyway, that's the file format stuff. Okay, let me see what else I have. Oh yes, here's something really interesting. Supposing you select part of a picture and you copy it. So I'll go up here to edit, and we'll say copy. If I go to the preview program and I say new, it doesn't just say new, it says new from clipboard. And this is really very handy. This was taught to me by my friend Wes. I saw him do this one time. It just blew my mind because he would copy something and then do Command N, and it makes a new document with just that thing. So there's no two-stepper. You would think it wouldn't be that hard. Make a new document and then paste. You don't have to do that. So if you have a friend named Wes, listen to Wes because the guy knows stuff. So it's perfectly sized, right? The document is exactly what it needed to be to hold what was copied. So you get into that habit. If you go to a web page, you find something, you highlight it, you copy it, and then you paste it. When you don't have to paste, you just do new from clipboard. Okay, really handy. Now let's talk about making preview your default app for PDFs. If you leave it to Acrobat, they'll be your default because they keep changing it on you. Every time you double click a PDF, instead of double clicking PDF like this and having it turn out to open preview, it ends up opening up Acrobat. And Acrobat is not what we're talking about here. It's not, Acrobat's clumsy, it's hard to use, it's slow. Not my bag. We don't want to do that. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to make sure that preview is the default thing for PDFs. So here's how do we do that? Well, what we do is we click on any PDF. Just click on it once. We go here to File. We get Info. When you get info, you get a lot of info, but the part that really matters is this part right here, open with. So if it said, you see I don't even allow Acrobat on here, but if it was trying to open up with something else, I would change it to preview, right? So I'll pretend it's on something else. Okay, I'll change it to preview. And then what you would do is you'd hit change all. And as you can see in the fine print, it says use this application to open all documents like this one. That means everything that's a PDF is going to open with preview starting now. Now, the next time you open up, next time you update Acrobat, it's going to say, would you like us to be your default? And you're going to say no. They keep asking, but this is how, if you make a mistake and you say yes to Acrobat now, this is how you can say yes to preview. And this is just the box asking me, am I sure? Yes, I'm sure. It just makes it easy. So now I don't have to wonder, if I double click any old PDF, it opens up with preview. Very important thing. Now let's do one more thing. Let's open up a document. And you remember earlier today, I kind of lost a document. I had my Bill of Rights that was marked up and password protected. So let's go back into preview and let's see if I can find that document. And I'm going to go here to the open recent, and here's my password protected Bill of Rights. And as I recall, I couldn't remember where it was, so I'll type in the password. I'm in. So how do we figure out where it is? Well, there's more than one way. Here's the way I do it. You see you've got the title of it right here. If you hold the command key, and the command key is that clover thing next to the space bar, if you hold that and then you click on the title, it shows me the path to that document. So I can see that this document is in this folder, which is on this drive. So if I wanted to see it in the folder, I could just slide down here to the folder and let go. Now I'm holding the command key down the whole time. If I click here, it opens up that folder, and there it is. And it's highlighted. It's so easy. So if I were to sort of prove it to myself, I remember it said back here, let's command click again, iCloud Drive, online classes, Bill of Rights. Got it. So if I close this up, let's see if I can actually find it. I'm going to iCloud Drive, online classes, Bill of Rights, password protected. So it's really nice to be able to find things. Okay, so sometimes you have documents open and you're glad they're open, but if you ever close them, you'll never find them again. But this is how you know where they are. Okay, good, right on time, and I am ready for any kind of questions and answers. Well, questions, I'll do the answers. So if you have questions, let's have them right now. If you don't have questions, that's okay. If you think of them later, which seems to be what's standard here, feel free to email me after the class and I will get back to you pronto. Okay, there is a question here. Why don't messages on my iMac show up on the iPhone? Well, that's a different class. I will help you with that, Cheryl, over email. Any other questions about preview? Look, just remember, multiple things to remember here, but number one, use the markup tools. You show them by clicking the little button. Number two, show the thumbnails so you can rearrange things. Oh, I'll do one more thing, just one very, very fast thing. I want to show you how you can delete a page again. I think in my lease agreement here, I have a blank page. Blank page, not anymore. I can just press delete and that guy's gone. Simple. So sometimes when you do scans, your scanner will scan both sides and you'll get the back and you don't want the back. So you can just delete it. Okay. How to find info in a PDF document. The get info, I think we're looking for. You're looking for this get info where I clicked on an item and went to file and did get info like this. Here's the info. I think this is what you're looking for, Linda. Is that right? Yes, good. Very important thing to know how to do. Look, if you wanted all of your JPEGs to open with Photoshop instead, you could click on a JPEG or let's say ping too. You could go to ping, I could get info on the ping. And I could tell it to open it with something else. I mean, there's a lot of things that can open a ping. I could say open it up with Pixelmator and it would do that. So handy stuff. Okay, good. Thank you very much for coming. We have another class on Tuesday, an iPhone class, which at the moment is syllabus isn't made yet. So it might be a surprise to me too, what we teach, but it's going to be, the working title is iPhone Super Tips. So kind of a whole session of grab bag. Okay, thanks very much for coming. Tell a friend, and I'll see you Tuesday and maybe next Thursday too. Okay, bye-bye.